My name is Sam Jenks, and welcome to another episode of The Way We Source, a podcast hosted by Kodiak Hub, where we share our talks with procurement practitioners, leaders, experts, consultants, content gurus, and people that we find downright inspiring, diving into the role that sourcing and procurement plays in the way that we live. If you like today's episode, make sure to rate the program and give us a follow. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting a seasoned practitioner and procurement leader. He brings a 25 plus year experience, a unique experience at that, having worked the first half of his career, his 23 years at Ericsson in sales, and transitioned to the buy side of the business in 2009, rounding out his career as head of sourcing business development before transitioning to his current and very exciting endeavor as head of procurement at Söderberg Partners. We're pleased to welcome Fredrik Taube. Fredrik, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Sam. A pleasure to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
And we are as well. I'm curious, starting with a bit of a softball, something we ask a lot of our guests. What exactly does sourcing and procurement mean to you?
Yeah, I'm very much on the business side of things. So it's to simplify for my company doing business, which means having the right environment to attract both the right talent and run the business operations smoothly. Plus, of course, in a cost-efficient and sustainable manner. So a lot of emphasis on commercial knowledge and commercial added value to the business.
Yeah, and we'll get to that for sure. You know, you've had your career both in sales and also in procurement, and obviously commercial mindset lies within both of those roles. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to diving into that. Why did you make the transition, really? What made you work in procurement? Did it choose you or the other way around?
It kind of chose me. Actually, in the beginning of my sales career, I was doing technical sales, radio technology, and then moved on to core network technology, IP networks, and the service, the IP layer. Then when I moved back from abroad to Sweden, then I joined the services side of the business. And there I was running mega deal outsourcing sales. And at that time, the two sides of the business met, and I kind of got an offer I couldn't refuse. I transitioned to the sourcing side.
All right, understood. For those that aren't familiar with where you are today, Söderberg Partners, do you mind just providing a brief background and overview of the primary business that you guys have there?
Yeah, we are a 20-year-old privately owned financial services company, present in 8 markets in Europe, originating from Sweden and the Nordics. And we are more than 4,000 employees. The business is more or less divided up on 4 main business areas. Wealth management for individuals as well as institutions and companies. Then we have pension and life insurance services, property casualty and non-life insurances, and then more of an HR-related component like payroll outsourcing and WellNet benefit portals for employees.
Transitioning to financial services from the industry that you knew so well at Ericsson, different industries, but I'm sure that you took some things along with you. What's 1 or 2 things that impacted you most greatly that you now have taken into your current role at Söderberg Partners?
I mean, first of all, transitioning from one company to another in a totally different industry might sound like a big challenge. I don't think it's such a big challenge when you are on the procurement side of things, because it's the same kind of toolbox, different dimensions, of course, different categories and different suppliers, but more or less a very familiar role for just anybody having a long experience within procurement. So what I brought with me is, of course, from Ericsson. Ericsson has been a great sales school for a long time. And then the maturity of the procurement. I was part of building it, a unified global category organization spanning over, Ericsson is present in 180 countries. We had procurement employees in more than 65 countries. So I had quite a big procurement organization of more than 1,000 employees at the time. That deep procurement sourcing understanding paired with commercial and sales knowledge, and then of course Ericsson was also a very good leadership environment to develop your leadership skills, your communication skills. Those are the main traits that helps me on this new journey.
Now you've transitioned into your new role and obviously coming with a good toolbox. I'm curious, what is the most important tools, or what are they that you see, or the attributes that a procurement pro really kind of needs to be able to make that transition into a new org?
I think you need to have analytical skills, of course, but the main thing is you can't you can't take the role without understanding procurement and understanding how to do business, knowing the basic process steps. But of course, when you take on this kind of new role, you need to simplify a lot. Then I must underline the importance of social skills to quickly get on board, quickly connect to the main business stakeholders, and then also in convincing them and socializing, and because it involves a lot of negotiation and selling in-house in the company to get the solutions going. So it's social skills, business understanding, and analytical skills.
I think you hit on something that's so important, right? Selling the role of procurement. And I mean, sales and procurement in a lot of ways, they're similar, but at the same time, oh, so different, right? And you coming from a background of both of them, I'm sure that you see the similarities in their DNA. But at the same time, what's something that you believe that procurement could learn from sales and sales could learn from procurement?
Yeah, as you say, I think it's just two different sides of the same table. So everything that you hate, you must like, and then you just swap. But actually, not. You could. Being on the procurement side, you could love what sales are saying. I think it's a basic human behavior kind of knowledge that you need. You will not achieve any results on any of the sides if you're not able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. I mean, some say you need to view the world through their lenses. And if you cannot do that, then you cannot achieve any good business results. So that's very important.
How do we get to a place where we're viewing the world through each other's lenses?
Of course, it takes experience, but and you need to have a clear view on your business needs and why that is important for you. I mean, you don't need any procurement in any company if you're not selling anything. So you need to understand the customer business of a company. If you understand your customer business, then and understand what are the main priorities of the company, then you will be able to help the company. In my current role here, it's you heard that we have four main different business areas. So
right.
My task is together with a couple of other guys like the CFO, like the head of legal, head of IT, and so on. We're building a platform, both a technology and a services platform that will help the different lines of business in doing better business with their customers. So not just from my point of view, not just negotiating good contracts with suppliers. Once I have achieved that, I need to sell them to the business on the platform.
It's a great point. Have you seen relationships evolve, because you've been in procurement for quite some time, comparative to the relationships of 2009 to current day into 2023? Do you think that buyer to supplier relationships and collaborations look different?
Yes.
And if so, how?
Yes, a lot. There are a couple of aspects on that one. One thing is, of course, the importance of sustainability and the whole United Nations Global Compact and the development goals. Having a good ESG agenda and following up on that with your suppliers. Back then in 2009, not all companies had a code of conduct for suppliers. I think that's a mainstream nowadays. And and you really do need to follow up on that, because you don't want to risk your brand of the company in the headlines of any filthy business or whatsoever. So on that point, much more sustainability in the business discussion, but also joint development, innovation, collaboration. I remember when I was on the sales side of things, there were some bottlenecks. We couldn't get supply of things for our customers, and I think that has over time changed the way you need to work with procurement near the product development. So procurement and the research and development teams within the mainly, I would say, it originated in automotive and telecoms, where you have a lot of technology-dependent customer solutions. So the technology guys, procurement, plus the salespeople and the development people from the supplier work together on the development projects, so that you really, on the design, on the printed circuit board, you design the stuff so that you can use components that will never go bottleneck. So you can find the right components for your line of business. A lot of joint development on the technology side, a much better understanding of each other's side of business, being the key account managers in front of you in the negotiation, and you as a procurement guy understanding each other. I think you need to be a lot. I used to say that you need to have a 360 degrees kind of mindset.
A thorough and holistic understanding, of both sides.
Yeah, the people in front of you, the person in front of you, your opponent. One day, that person might be your colleague, might be your competitor, your partner, or your supplier or your customer. So be respectful and try to understand each other's business needs.
It's a great point, and I think that it's all too often that we get bogged down in kind of who's getting the best price or winning a negotiation, rather than understanding things from the other's point of view. But that's a great way to look at it. That person might be your next partner, your next colleague, your next partner,
spouse
alongside of you. Very good. Let's move on to something that I think is super exciting, because just a couple of years ago, you were in a truly multinational global organization with tens of thousands of suppliers, billions in spend. It was as I assume, an incredibly mature business at the Ericsson. And now you've transitioned into a slightly different reality where your reach, impact, and ability to create is massive, right?
Yeah.
You're creating greenfields in your current role, which some would consider to be a CPO's dream, a dream scenario. What is, as you see it, though, the most challenging thing with transitioning to your current position?
Yeah, you're right. It is a dream scenario. Think of a white paper and nothing is painted on it, and you are the artist. You can start painting it by yourself. So first, when you transition from such a mature organization, procurement-wise, some people might be hesitant. They think you may think that having a huge spend is super cool, and having less spend is not a good career step, and so on. But I think that's a wrong perception. But bottom line, it's the same kind of skill, the same kind of knowledge that you need, and the same kind of challenges. So it's just a mindset. You can add a lot of value for a smaller business or for even much bigger business, no matter what kind of assignment you take on. So I think it's less. So basically, it's less of a challenge than you may think. As long as you have a deep procurement sourcing toolbox with you, then you can apply it to any business. Moving from such a mature organization that we managed to develop over more than 12 years, from a very fragmented sourcing organization, fragmented in market units and fragmented in business units, we managed to create one global category organization. And now coming into this company more than 20 months ago with no procurement at all, just a white paper. Of course, there were pockets of very good negotiators, very good stakeholders being able to do their business. Otherwise, this company wouldn't have survived for so long time. But challenges can be lack of digital maturity. Where do you find the data? How are you paying your invoices? And where are the contracts stored? So those are, once you come on board, you do your assessment, you use your tools to understand the maturity of the company, and then you can start listing your improvement areas. My first finding was, of course, to get analytics in place to understand the data, because you talk to a lot of people when you get on board. You hear a lot of hearsay, rumors, and maybe some facts. But I want to boil down and understand: are there numbers supporting those statements? So find the real facts in the numbers supporting the statements, and then focus on that. So analytics is
sorry, go ahead.
the main thing. That's the first sentence on the white paper.
Understood. And I mean, it sounds like, and I'm not surprised by this either, that you see the challenges as a massive opportunity, of course. And it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of rewards within it. When you came in, though, and I mean, for any of our listeners, they might be stepping into a similar situation, right? And I think that it might feel for some, in that position as a rather overwhelming experience. Somebody maybe that has less experience than someone in your seat. For someone stepping into a business where they have this unique opportunity to build up a procurement org, do you have any suggestions of kind of pillars of success or areas of focus where to start?
It depends a little bit, because there are, of course, no scenario is similar to the other. And
right.
Of course, it could be a totally blank paper with no organization whatsoever in place, or there could be some pockets of very good procurement individuals still present and doing some activities. So you need to assess the as-is situation, of course, and you need to understand: are there any tools supporting? Are there any individuals working on the matter? Then the next decision is: do you have the competence within the organization to do this? Or can you do it by yourself? Or should you require external help? What kind of external help should you go for? Go with one of the big multinational procurement consultancies, or some more boutique firm that you might know since the past. I choose to do it myself. I have worked with all the major management consultancies and smaller boutique firms, doing a lot of projects together with them, running them, and that has helped me in developing my toolbox with a lot of different spices from all of them. And then you do your you could do your 100-day plan, or your 75-day plan. You interview a lot of people, you look at the data, and then you start making a 3, 6, and a 9-month kind of plan ahead. And I'm still on my plan. Now it's 24 months, and I'm still acting on the same kind of initial targets. It's cost tax, procurement hygiene factors, and cross-functional improvements.
Continuously having structure, a plan, and goals to work towards. I think that's the key to anything.
Following up on, and that also helps your communication. If you can show the red line, what you did in the beginning, what conclusions you came to, how they have developed, and how you're evolving your plan over time. And then you
back to selling the organization as well.
You need to sell a lot. You need to communicate a lot, because you need to make yourself visible. They are not used to working with procurement if they haven't had a procurement organization before. So you need to position yourself, and then, of course, once you position yourself and you become known in the company, then you have another challenge. You will not have bandwidth, so then you need to prioritize, and then you need to start recruiting.
That transitions nicely into another question I was curious about, because obviously in a procurement organization that maybe has a robust category structure, is a bit more mature. Obviously, hiring is one thing. Does it differ in an organization, where you have a little bit more of a green field? What type of talent that you're looking for?
It depends. I on one, sometimes I think I would like to clone myself to have some kind of a similar person. But what I see now, I need a lot of, I need both good negotiators with a commercial stance. But then on the other hand, I just need junior people that can do analytics, that can help me understand the data.
Do you see a generational difference there? Because you said younger people. I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that.
Correction, not younger, maybe junior.
Junior. Okay, understood.
From the point, people that understand the latest tools in like Power BI and similar adaptations to look at the data to help build development of the current tools that we have.
Understood. I mean, as a procurement leader yourself, you're constantly in the phase of change and need to be able to adjust with the times, as you just mentioned within technology. But I'm sure that there's other aspects of the role. I mean, there's so many aspects of every role, right? And industry. And procurement is an industry that's changing a lot. How do you feel like you ensure that you stay current within your role as a procurement leader?
Yeah. First, I just want to add to the previous question that, apart from the obvious procurement skills, still, I think there's a lot more need for having the right social and communication skills in all procurement organizations, because you don't have time as a leader to help them communicate. Your team, they need to be able to communicate by themselves, both with suppliers and internally with the stakeholders in an efficient manner. So how to stay, I talk a lot with the business. The biggest threshold I had competence-wise was understanding all the tools on the shareholder, the wealth management I mentioned, all those kind of new cloud tools and the market data that a company in financial services need. But it's just a bunch of data, so you buy it like any other data. But I participate to some discussion forums with other senior procurement people. That helps me stay alert and stay up to date on the latest developments. Coming from my previous background at Ericsson, we are Ericsson. They are on the forefront of procurement, highly developed procurement organization. So then, when you step to a less mature organization, how do you keep the same pace ahead of competition? That might be a challenge, but I think using your network, meeting up with people, listening to maybe to this pod, or reading a lot of articles on the web, I think that helps. You don't need to get nerdy on procurement stuff.
Understood. You need to talk to people. This I like. When it comes to these networks that you're in of other senior procurement leaders, your peers, if you were to point at something that they're doing right, what would you say? And then also on the back end of that, what is something that they and maybe yourself also need to be doing better?
I think when you are a senior procurement leader, there's a risk that you get a little bit detached from your procurement core business. I mean, the suppliers and the major spend areas and the development of those and innovation happening in them, because you might have 1, 2, or 3 layers of organization down to the very person handling that supplier, that category. I think even if you're a leader, try not to become just a general manager. Keep an eye on the business, because if you don't have an eye on the business, if you don't know the facts, of course, without being a micromanager, you should always trust your people. but you need to
Right.
understand what's happening out there, because otherwise you will not be relevant as a chief procurement officer. If you don't know the details of the business, then your business stakeholders, the other C-level or the other heads, they will bypass you and talk to your team instead. And the same goes for when you're benchmarking with other companies. If I talk to a CPO and they don't know nothing about the process or the tool set that they're using, then it's less interesting for me to having an exchange of information with them. I think keeping an eye and a step ahead of your own business and understanding the details of it is very important.
We'll go over to the item of what it is that we feel like, that's the senior leaders that you speak with are doing right, because it's obvious that that's one of the areas where you feel like they need to make sure that they stay relevant. Do you have any practical tips yourself as to how you remain close to the pulse of the business, things that you do operationally?
Of course, today it's easy to say because I have an extremely lean organization, so by default I'm close to the business.
Even still,
but as time goes, there will be more people, and then you cannot be up to pace with everything. So that will, but I think trying out and keeping a quite lean team of a few experienced senior procurement individuals, then you can manage a lot together. You don't need you don't need a huge organization to build up procurement.
When you look at procurement as a whole, just going back to the prior question, then you hit definitely on some areas where you think maybe some of your peers need to be better, right? Staying close to the pulse of the business. Yeah. What is it that you think a lot of procurement teams are doing right or getting right today?
I think most of the companies I talk to, they have a good traction. They have managed to step up business wise. There's no lament any longer about sourcing not being seen in the company. I mean, procurement is there. Procurement is involved. It's involved early on. You have good analysis of your data. And there is a need for procurement in most industries. I think it's maybe more on the small and medium enterprise level where you have less understanding of the benefits of procurement, and maybe where the CEO understanding of procurement is that I need a heavy, tough, evil negotiator, which I think is a rather old style. But I think
great insights.
I would say most of the industries. I talked about automotive before. I talked about telecoms,
right,
and of course consumer business, fast-moving FMCG. Very high level of procurement knowledge in most of those industries.
I'm curious, what is one thing that you know today that you wish that you knew at the beginning of your career?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I know today that that would have been very good if I had known then. First of all, I mean, in the beginning of your career, you maybe you're fresh out of school and you don't really know procurement because you might have more of a general business curriculum or something like that, or engineering curriculum. So you learn the trade over time. I think maybe what I didn't know at that time was the importance of communication and social skills. And when you're fresh out of school, not everyone might be that self-confident and at ease with communications. You might be nervous when you're on stage. I think when you've been a senior leader for some time, you get a lot of help from your company. You get a lot of support with doing presentations in front of huge auditoriums and being filmed and doing podcasts. And this is actually my premiere in a podcast. So everything has a first.
Doing great.
Yeah, but anyhow, so the communication part, the way that the importance of connecting and teamwork. When you're doing your bachelor or master's thing, then you work a lot on your own. Of course, there are group exercises, but it's you against the clock. And when you're in a company, it's you and the team doing business for the customer. So I mean, teamwork. I cannot. I need to underline the importance of teamwork and communication skills.
Great insights. We really appreciate the insights that you've been able to share with us today during this episode. And I would love to transition into the last part of the episode, a little bit of a moment in time to be able to better learn more about Fredrik Taube, the person, rather than just head of procurement and experienced practitioner. We do a little bit of a quick fire round with all of our guests. Quick questions, one sentence or one word responses, where we get to know a little bit more about you, things completely unrelated to today's episode. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan, but sounds horrifying.
I think that you'll do just fine. One podcast or book that you're listening to or reading at the moment that you would like to suggest to our listeners, or something that you've listened to or read in the past?
This summer I read a book named This Is How the World Ends. It's about cyber warfare and the black market of selling different hacks.
Okay. Nobody said that we were going to provide an uplifting recommendation. So appreciate it. All right. As you and I both know, in Swedish, we say paradrätt. That means kind of the dish that you would make somebody if they were coming over to dinner. If I was coming over to dinner tonight, what would you make as your paradrätt, Fredrik?
I'm quite experienced at cooking, and I love cooking a lot. So, and having spent more than almost 8 years in Italy, it would be an Italian dinner. So it would be antipasto, primo, secondo, and dessert.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to it. The last one, all expenses paid, travel on a vacation. You're leaving tomorrow morning with you and your family or whoever you'd like. Where are you heading?
Either it could be a metropolitan kind of thing to big city, or it could be out in the wild, into the wilderness. It depends on the mood. Right now, I feel for traveling to a really big city.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm happy that you're not in any big city, but rather right here in Stockholm, Sweden, talking to us on The Way We Source. We appreciate your time and being on today's episode. Thank you so much for your time, Fredrik. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about what you guys are doing at Söderberg Partners, how would they be able to best get in touch?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to accept serious invitations on LinkedIn. And that's the easiest way. So it's Fredrik Taube, Taube, at Söderberg Partners.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time today, Fredrik.
Sam, I really enjoyed talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.